Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Ferry Beach, and we are in the only spot you ever need to be in. This is the first day of the rest of your life, and look at where we are. And this is where the presence of God is. So we're going to open up with an opening song. I'm going to introduce Irene, Jody, and David, and we're going to do Surely the Presence. If everybody could just stand.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. There's a holy hush around us. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this
So taking a deep breath in, breathing in the presence of God. Breathe it all the way in, through your heart, down to your toes. And we thank you, God, that you are here, and we invite the Holy Spirit in. And we give over every plan that we have. And we acknowledge that we have come together, and as we join together with others, this is where healing is accomplished. And we open our hearts and our minds for a new beginning. And we give grace and thanks and love and joy just to feel your presence in the wind. We acknowledge your presence in the birds chirping. We acknowledge your presence in the ground that we stand on. We feel how solid it is. We feel how solid the ground is, and we know you are here. And we let this be our dedication from now on. That whenever our mind begins twirling in the chaos and the thinking of the problems of the world, let us feel the solidness of the ground we stand on and remember you, Father, that we have a solid foundation that we stand on, and we acknowledge Christ's presence with us. We are walking with this presence. We breathe in. It's a new and holy day. And this day is God's. It is our gift to Him. Amen.
Good morning, everybody. Stay standing, but just move a little. Yeah, doesn't that feel good? That feels good. I don't think I need this. So here we are, and I have this song we can all sing together, and don't hold back in any way. One time I did this at a Hadassah luncheon, and they were dancing in the aisles. So I teach you. Today is the first day of the rest of my life. Today is the first day of the rest of my life. and I intend to live it free of struggle, strain, and strife. And I intend to live it free of struggle, strain, and strife. Excellent. So the other part is, let us be together in joy. Let us be together in joy. Let us be together in peace. Let us be together in peace. As we celebrate the day, we find sweet release. As we come together in peace. As we celebrate the day, we find sweet release. As we come together in peace. Here we go. Today is the first day of the rest of my life, and I intend to live it free of struggle, strain, and strife. I am happy, healthy, wealthy, abundant, and wise. I start each day anew as I watch the sunrise. Let us be together in joy. Let us be together in peace. As we celebrate the day, we find sweet release. As we come together in peace. Today is the first day of the rest of my life, and I intend to live it free of struggle, strain, and strife. As I let go the past lets go of me. As I forgive, I live blissfully. Let us be together in joy. Let us be together in peace. As we celebrate the day, we find sweet release. As we come together in peace. Today is the first day of the rest of my life, and I intend to live it free of struggle, strain, and strife. I choose today to let go of the pain. I choose success. There is so much today. Let us be together in joy. Let us be together in peace. As we celebrate the day, we find sweet release. As we come together in peace. What is it? Today is the first day of the rest of my life, and I intend to live it free of struggle, strain, and strife. I celebrate the happiness of others I see, knowing there's plenty for you and for me. Let us be together in joy. Let us be together in peace. As we celebrate the day, we find sweet release. As we come together in peace. Today is the first day of the rest of my life, and I intend to live it free of struggle, strain, and strife. There's light to be found in everything I see. There's love to be found if I look patiently. Let us be together in joy. Let us be together in peace. As we celebrate the day, we find sweet release. As we come together in peace. You may be seated.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Lisa Natoli, and I am a miracle healer. And there's nothing special about that. I actually don't heal, and I'm going to be sharing with each of you how healing is accomplished. I've dedicated my life to God, and I work with Jesus. And I'm so happy to be here at Ferry Beach. This is actually a dream come true for me to be standing in this place with this microphone with all of you here. My husband and I, Bill Free, we live about a mile from here. This is where our summer home is. And I was actually conceived in this area. And I'm a honeymoon baby. And my parents, when I was growing up, we didn't have much money, but they always made sure that we had money to come to this area twice a year. And we first started coming in a tent, then we moved up to a camper, and I always wondered, what is it about the ocean? What is it about this place? And then my mother told me the math of when she got married. I was sort of like, oh, and where she went for a honeymoon in Old Orchard Beach. So I sort of had this idea that on my first day in my mom's belly, I was in the ocean here. So to me, this is home. And Bill and I were going to get married here even. Like we happened to find this place, and just coming here, like you feel the majesty and the presence of God here. And then when I see this sign, God is love, and it's just like, yes, I want to stand up here one day and share from my own heart, my own experience. So it's a privilege for me to be here with you. And what I'd like to do this morning is I'd like to talk about some Bible stories. And I actually didn't know the Bible till I was 33. And I don't have a reference of Jesus, which is why it's so interesting to me now that I've dedicated my life to him and I've dedicated my life to God. I was someone who was raised thinking Christmas was about Santa Claus and Easter was about the Easter Bunny. So, and then I went on this track of just living by the world laws. I learned how to do very well in school. I learned how to be a good person. I went to New York City. I worked there for 12 years in publishing and marketing. But there was always a memory or a longing or something's missing. So I had everything the world told me one should have to be happy. And I just felt like my life was a house of cards. And so I drank. I was alcoholic. You don't know you're alcoholic till you can't stop drinking. But I always just felt like this isn't our home. This world where we struggle and where we are in competition with other people, this isn't right. And somewhere I knew it. And what I want to talk about today, and I'm just going to tie this in with my story, is I stood in my living room in Brooklyn, New York, and I had tried every other method to find something that was going to bring me peace. I tried more vacations, I tried getting promotions, and I got them. I did all those things. And it was like, I can't find it. I remember looking in the New York Times all the time. I'm like, there must be a job that I'm going to find, and it's going to be the thing that's going to give me the thing I'm looking for. And it wasn't there. And so in one moment, and I did not believe in God, I did not have God in my life, I turned to God. And I said, God, if you're there, I want to work for you now. And my whole life changed. 6 days later, I got a little tap on the shoulder at work, and I was the office darling. I'd been there for 10 years, and they said, you're fired. And I got they were chopping off top salaries, and I was one of the first to go, and I had been let go by some people in Virginia that I didn't even know. And I felt first fearful, first this moment of, oh my God, what am I going to do for money? I live in New York City, one of the most expensive places here. And in the same moment, there was a total excitement that I had just been hired by God. I just felt I'd asked for a new experience, and it came. And so my life since that moment, that was July 4th, 2000, so that was about 15 years ago, I instantly had a moment when the alcohol just disappeared. I suddenly it was gone. I no longer was an alcoholic. And I've never wanted to drink since. And so the stories that I'm going to tell you today are along these same lines. And what I love about the Bible, so I began to say, okay, I don't know what God is, but I've just had a very real experience of something that I can't see. But I know God is here. And then I began thinking about Jesus, and I didn't know anything about Jesus, and I started looking at the Bible. I am a teacher of A Course in Miracles, so I had already had this book, and this book is my life, and this is written by Jesus. And when I began looking at the Bible, I had always felt that that book is just boring. You know, it's just old, boring stories written by old, boring men who weren't even there. You know, I just felt like these are just stupid stories. But when you have a willingness to open your eyes and look again, you might see something new. And that's what I did. I began looking at these Bible stories, and I started looking at the metaphysical meaning of them. And today I want to talk about 3 things from the Bible. I want to talk about the woman who touched the garment of Jesus and was healed. So Jesus was already in his ministry. He was already healing the sick and raising the dead, and people were following him. And he was teaching, and I'm just going to read this from Matthew 9. So he's teaching to his disciples and the people that are there. And while he spoke these things unto them, behold, there came a certain ruler and worshipped him, saying, My daughter is even now dead, but come and lay thy hand upon her, and she shall live. And Jesus arose and followed him, and so did his disciples. And behold, a woman, which was diseased with an issue of blood 12 years, came behind him and touched the hem of his garment. For she said within herself, she just said it within herself, if I may but touch his garment, I shall be whole. But Jesus turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith has made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that hour. So this is from the King James Version. There's other versions that say that she rushed through the crowd, that she was rushing through the crowd, and when she touched his garment, Jesus turned around abruptly and said, Who touched me? Who touched me? So I wanted to talk about that. I want to talk about this story because there's so many things that are our stories. So the first thing is the touch. She touched him. Now he was with a crowd of people who were also touching him. So Jesus represents the Christ mind. He's the Christ consciousness. And people begin to follow that consciousness. And so there were others touching him, but how come he didn't feel them? Because she had an intentional touch. Hers was deliberate to be healed. And he felt that. He didn't feel the unintentional touch. He didn't feel the touch of need. He didn't feel the touch of want. Those touches were just around him. But when there was an intentional touch by somebody with a sincere desire to be healed, he felt that. And so you need that. Like, Jody, that was a beautiful song. Today is the first day of the rest of my life, and I intend to live it free of struggle, strain, and strife. I intend. So you need to be intentional now about what you want and what you want to be healed of to enter into this Christ consciousness. And Jesus is here. Jesus is here now, and you can touch his garment. And what I love about this story is she was diseased for 12 years. So she must have been trying to heal herself, which is what every human being does. We try to heal ourselves. We try to do it alone. We try a new diet, we try new books, we try new methods, we try new techniques. And you come to a place where you recognize those ways don't work. And that's what happened to me in New York. Is I realized this isn't working for me. And there's only one thing left to do, and I don't know if it's going to work, but if there is a presence and a power, I have nothing to lose by trying to access it. And that's my invitation to you today. To open your mind up, because see, that power and that presence, this is why I like giving this talk here in nature, because it doesn't care what you believe. But you need to invite that presence in. It cannot come without your invitation. There has to be intent. You have to reach out. And so what I love about the metaphysics of the crowd is, so you're in your own mind struggling in this moment with whatever issues you may think you have. You may be sick, you may have problems or debt. So there has to be an action and a movement in your mind to reach the Christ mind. And the crowd are your own thoughts. You have to go through the crowds of your own thinking, through your own fear, through your own guilt, through your own blame, through your own judgment, through your own thoughts of I'm not good enough. And you have to be intentional. And there has to be this focus. I'm going. I'm going to reach that guy, that mind, that consciousness. And that's the place where most people make that movement when there's nowhere else to go. She was 12 years sick. And I like this first sentence in here about the ruler. There was a certain ruler who worshipped him. And his daughter was dead. And Jesus brought her back to life. And that's what Jesus is doing. He's bringing us back to life. But we have to worship him. And to me, it's just been, I remember when I first started thinking about Jesus, I'm like, no way. I am not going to be talking about Jesus. Forget it. I was a New Yorker, just with the image. And I'm like, nope. But when Christ comes into your life and does the things that he does, and you start to know his presence, and you begin to know he's with you, and it's just not even a he, it's Christ, it's a presence, it's a power. And you make a deliberate intention to begin working with it, saying, okay, I'm going to open my mind up to the possibility of what if. You don't even have to believe, you just say, what if? What if Christ can heal all things? And so I just want to look at her, this woman, and the qualities that she was exhibiting. She had sincerity. There was just a sincerity and a simplicity to her. She had determination. You see, because a lot of people on a spiritual path, they think, oh, I'm just going to say I want to be happy, and then it'll all happen. Well, we know it doesn't happen like that, right? You need to be determined to always hold that as your focus. I'm determined to live in the Christ mind, in joy, in love. That's going to be what I'm going to live from now on. And she brought herself without her story. So a lot of people go to Christ or to God, whatever that presence and that power is for you, with a story. That and with bargaining, if you do this for me, heal me, and I will do this. And she didn't do that. She had nothing to give. She just needed, and she knew. She said within herself, if I may but touch his garment, I shall be whole. So what A Course in Miracles says is that healing is nothing more than the awareness of your own wholeness again. And that's why I'm a miracle healer. I help people with that. I help people to recognize their own wholeness again. And then my job is done, because now Christ takes over. And he does amazing things. I have seen physical healings. I have seen people spring into joy. That's what I want for everybody. That's what I want for each and every one of you, that this is the first day of the rest of your life. And she had faith. And you must have faith. You must believe that this presence loves you. And it will heal you, but you have to work with it. You have to, like plugging in. The light doesn't work until you plug it in. You need to plug into God. And so Jesus never said, I healed you. Never. It's not in there. He never said, I healed you. He said, all power comes from the Father. And I and the Father are one. So he was allowing the God power to come through his vessel, which each and every one of you has that. That you can allow yourself to become a miracle healer today and to remind others of their own wholeness. But first, you have to accept your own wholeness. First, you're healed. And you remember, I am spirit, not a body. think about it. If you just sit quietly and you allow yourself to just shut your eyes and connect to that place, I just want you to do it right now. And without your story, you're just spirit, you're just thought. And so you can open your eyes and just remember, I am spirit. I am the aliveness of life itself. Some people, when they start, like, getting older is a funny thing to me, because you look in the mirror and you go, well, how did I go from this to this? And it's the aging thing, because I still feel like I'm 5. I do. I feel like I'm 5, and I feel like, okay, well, I have an age and I have a story, but that's not how I feel. That is how I actually, for many years, I felt old. I felt, well, how is that possible? You can't feel old unless that's your habitual way of thinking. So I want to just talk about, Jesus never said, I healed you. He said, you healed yourself. He always asked the question, will you be whole or will you be healed? He needed your consent for it to happen. He didn't just walk around like a magician. Oh, you're healed. Oh, you're healed. Oh, you're healed. Oh, all of you healed. He was calling forth, because he didn't want people to be stuck in their own story. He needed them to come to the place where he is. He says, where I am, God is. But he's not in the place where the human being thinks. He's in the place where love is. So you have to move your mind to the place where love is. You can't stay in your old story. You have to make that movement, like that woman did, where she left the house and she says, Christ is here. Christ is here. If only I can touch him, I will be healed. I know it. And you have that faith now. So you make a decision that you're going to be the wholeness that you are. You can make that decision right here and right now, because you're already whole and perfect. So there's a story of a woman named Myrtle Fillmore, and she's a co-founder of the Unity Movement with her husband Charles Fillmore. And I love her story because they were living in the 1800s, and she was just a woman. Both of them were sick. Both of them were just ordinary people. He was a railroad worker and a salesman. She was a school teacher, and he had a leg problem, and his leg had stopped growing when he was a child, and she had tuberculosis and malaria. So the tuberculosis was from childhood. The malaria came on, and she was given 6 months to live. And she went to a talk, and she heard the speaker say, you're a child of God, therefore you cannot inherit sickness. And she just, like a light goes off in her head. That's the truth. I know that's the truth. And she latched right onto it. She said, I'm a child of God, I can't be sick. And the reason I like her story is because she made a decision to only stay with that thought from now on. And her physical body was sick for 2 more years. So what often people do is they say, I'm not healed yet. I'm not healed yet because my body still has this thing, this symptom. But she made a decision. Nope, I'm not my body. I'm going to be alive. I'm here and alive. And she just began the work that became the work that her and Charles did. And now it's worldwide. You know, it's just become this incredible teaching now. And Charles, I mean, I love his story because he thought his wife was crazy. He's inviting all these people into their home for prayer and to talk with Jesus and talk with God. And he's just thinking, my wife's nuts. But he saw the healing that was happening in those prayer groups. They were praying for people. They were affirming the truth for everyone. And that's what you can do for everyone from now on. You don't have to keep telling your story of trouble, strain, and strife. You can, instead of complaining and wondering and worrying, use that same energy. It's energy, right? It takes energy to complain and to retell your story of how you're sick. You could take that same energy and use it to bless someone and love them. It's the same thing. Your mind's doing something in that moment. Why not just love in that moment? And so I'm just going to give a little practice. And I want you to think about, in this moment, because I work with a lot of people, and I hear a lot of people say, I'm sick. I'm sick and I'm waiting for a miracle. And they're waiting. Like they're just sitting around waiting for some future date. And I always ask them, what will you be doing when you're healed? And nobody's thought about that question. Because they're so sitting in their own waiting mode. I don't know. I guess I'll know when I'll get there. No. Think about it right now. So what I want you to do, because everyone has some level of limitation or sickness. They do. There's this thing of my life starts later. I want you to think about what you will be doing with no limitations. You're unlimited. Completely unlimited. And today's the day that you can say, I dedicate my life to love. I dedicate my life to this new experience. So I want you to just think about that. Maybe you'll reach out more. You'll just be more present in your life. And I want you to do it today. And A Course in Miracles talks about collapsing time. Jesus, what he does, he snips out the sickness. He snips out the time frame of your sickness. So you might be sick and maybe you were going to die from it. But when you say, no, I'm not dying from that thing. This is my life and I'm going to live it now. I'm going to be here present always. And Jesus goes and snips it right out of your timeline. Like me with the alcohol. And he's healed me of many things. He healed me of depression. He's taken everything away. And only thing is left is joy. And then do it every day from now on. I want you to really think about that. I want you to take that step and say, I'm healed. I am free and I am whole and I am unlimited, and I will assure you, your mind will go crazy with why you're not. It will immediately tell you, no, you don't have money, you're a loser, you can't do that, and that's the practice and the work of seeing where you're still located in your old story. So be healed today. You can't see Christ, but you can feel his presence and you can be aware of his power. You can be aware. And what happens is that you begin to see, you will see him going before you and removing all obstacles. And your part is to work with your own mind, your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings, to catch when you're in that old place. Jesus says, I have made you whole. And then in many places he says, go and sin no more. And what sin is, it's an archery term. It means off the mark. Don't get off the mark anymore. Go and sin no more. Stay with me. Stay centered in God. And what always happens, because we have been raised to live off the mark, we've been raised to live separate from God. And when you live separate from God, you get the effects of that separation, which is sickness, suffering, feeling bad. And you have the power within you to bring yourself back. To say, no, I am centered in God. And so I wanted to just end with this 2 stories. I got this letter from this guy named Paul about 2 days ago. My husband and I, Bill, we co-founded a nonprofit organization called the Teachers of God Foundation, and it's based on the work of A Course in Miracles, and our mission is to inspire, encourage, and support people in their transformation. And we have these online programs, and one of them is called the 40-day program, where we invite people to give themselves 40 days, like Jesus did, to enter into a time when you're totally transformed. So I got this letter from this guy named Paul. He just sent it in. He's in it. The 40 days is happening right now. It happens 3 times a year. Happens January 1st, May 1st, and August 1st. It's totally free. Thousands of people have done it, and we invite people to let go of their story and of their past. And then we invite people to spend quiet time in meditation, getting to know God directly, to have a direct experience of this presence and this power. And then we invite people to step into that place where you're joining with that presence. So he wrote to me and he said, "Hi Lisa, today was one of the happiest days of my life. There were times when I felt so good that tears came to my eyes. I did nothing unique or different, received no special news. I simply felt the love of God and saw him in everyone and everything. What a short time ago I felt was impossible felt like the most natural thing in the world. I have the peace of God. I am love. I am grateful. I am a holy son of God. Peace and love to you all, Paul." And I wanted to just talk about the name Paul, because Paul in the Bible was a guy named Saul, and he was one of the Pharisees, and it was after the time of Jesus and his resurrection. And they had started a new Christian church. They called it The Way. And The Way was for people who were following Christ. And Saul was this guy who only wanted to murder anyone who was living the way. He was murdering them. And the metaphysics of that is we're murderers. That we all represent Saul. Whenever you think of anyone in your mind with anything other than love, you're murdering them. And so we suddenly just recognize, okay, like that can seem like a harsh thing because we've never physically killed somebody. But when you can just accept it, to say, okay, wow, I really don't want to murder people anymore. I don't want to murder them with my thoughts because they are feeling the effect of it. And he was on the road to Damascus, and he was carrying a note from one of the high priests that gave him instructions to kill the people that were there that were following the way and following Christ. And on the road to Damascus, he and some people were with him. He was knocked off his horse, fell to the ground, and was blinded by a light. And Christ came to him. And Saul was persecuting Jesus. So he said, Lord, who are you? And he said, it is me, the one you've been persecuting. Stop it. In so many words, cut it out. Stop persecuting me and murdering others. And he was blind for 3 days. And Christ got through to another guy and said, go to Paul and heal him now. And Saul became Paul. And the road to Damascus is that important moment of transformation, an absolute shift in your beliefs. And it comes in a moment, and I pray it happens for you now. I pray that this is your road to Damascus experience, where you have an insight, a change and a shift in your attitudes. A Course in Miracles says that a miracle is a shift in perception. And Paul became the Apostle Paul. And he dedicated the rest of his life to teaching the gospel, to teaching the good news, to teaching the message of Jesus Christ. So no matter what your story is, this is the moment for you. And so, just in closing, I just want to share the final story from the Bible. And this comes from when Paul sent me this letter. I was so grateful because I know that this is what's available to everyone. Is that he was describing that this experience of the love of God came to him out of nowhere. And in the Bible, they talk about that Christ comes like a thief in the night. And what it says is, I love this. So the thief in the night is Christ coming. And it says, but understand this. If the owner of the house had known at what time the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and not let his house get broken into. And that's what we do with our lives. We keep total control and watch of our lives so that Christ can't come in. We've built walls around our hearts. We've built walls around everything. And we are watching with absolute vigilance that our story doesn't get dismantled, that our values don't get dismantled. And what you need to do is let down your guard. Relax. Totally surrender. Let go. Completely relax. Acknowledge this experience. Acknowledge Christ. Just let it in and let it come. Amen. So I'd like to invite you all into meditation, and I'm going to invite my dear friend Jon Mundy. Jon Mundy has dedicated his life to A Course in Miracles. He was there 40 years ago, was friends with the people who brought this message into time and space. Jon Mundy.
Let's close our eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths. Relax. Be very present, because there's no place else to be right now. I am one self united with my Creator. Today's idea accurately describes you as God created you. You are one within yourself and one with Him. Yours is the unity of all creation. You are one self united with your Creator, at one with every aspect of creation, limitless in power and peace. This is the truth. Nothing else is true. Offer to your mind with all the certainty that you can give, I am one self united with my Creator, at one with every aspect of creation, limitless in power and peace. Tell yourself again slowly and thoughtfully, I am one self united with my Creator. Allow the meaning of these words to sink into your mind, replacing false ideas. I am one self united with my Creator. Attempt to feel the meaning that these words convey. You are one self, united and secure in light and joy and peace. You are God's child. One self, with one Creator and one goal, to bring the awareness of this oneness to all minds, that true creation may extend the allness and the unity of God. You are one self, complete, healed, whole, with the power to lift the veil of darkness from the world, to let the light in you come through to teach the world the truth about yourself. You are one self, in perfect harmony with all there is and all that there will be. You are one self, a holy child of God, united with your brothers and your sisters in that self. Feel this self in you, and let it shine away all your illusions and all doubts. This is your self. child of God himself, sinless as its creator, with his strength within you and his love forever yours. You are one self, and it's given you to feel the self within you and to cast all your illusions out of the one mind that is this self, the holy truth in you. Your little part is needed in bringing happiness to all the world. Heaven looks to you in confidence that you will try today. Repeat today's idea as frequently as possible. Understand each time you do, someone hears the voice of hope, the stirring of truth within the mind, the gentle rustling of the wings of peace. Your own acknowledgement. You are one self united with your Father is a call to all the world to be at one with you. To everyone you meet today, give the promise of today's idea and tell them silently, you are one self with me, united with our Creator in the self. I honor you because of what I am and what He is, who loves us both as one. I am one self, united with my Creator. Now slowly, when you're ready, open your eyes.
To give a love offering, and we are going to be giving the love offering back to Ferry Beach because we are so blessed just to be here. And we're going to close with a song, and then I'm going to ask Vicki to come and close us in a prayer.
And most of them have the words to the song.
Yeah, we have a few printed copies. I just want to tell you a story about this song. This song is one of my absolute favorite spiritual songs. I heard it first in 1968 in a setting very similar to this in Yosemite Valley of Yosemite National Park. 1968, there was a rumor that there was a group of hippies coming in a bus, and they were Jesus freaks, long-haired freaky people, and they were going to have a concert in an amphitheater in Yosemite. So I was kind of intrigued by this, and they did a number of songs, but this is the one that stuck with me. I remembered every word, I remembered the chords, and you're going to sing it with us now. It's called The Glory of God.
Does everyone understand?
I want to teach you you're going to do the refrain, which is, well, let me teach it to you. So let the words of my mouth begin. So let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart, it's in bold, do the same thing for thee, and a witness be to the glory of God, to the glory of God. Okay, we're gonna try one more time, okay?
So let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart do the same thing for thee, and a witness be to the glory of God, to the glory of God.
Okay, now we're gonna start out with oohs, okay? Really easy like this. Do harmony. Ready to go.
Don't you wonder why the stars are in the sky? They're telling you and I of the glory of God. And every towering tree is there for you to see, that there no doubt can be of the glory of God, your part. So let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart do the same thing for thee, and a witness be to the glory of God, to the glory of God. And then the night winds come, their shadows fall, they're telling one and all the glory of God. Then comes the morning sun to make the darkness run, and say that day's begun to the glory of God. So let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart do the same thing for thee, and a witness be to the glory of God, to the glory of God.
Amen.
So if you can all just remain standing, Vicki's going to just do a closing prayer for us.
Morning,
And just
everybody.
grab the hand next to you.
And grab God's hand in your brother's hand. These are the glory days we're in, even in the workbook. So we turn to you, our Father, and we turn to you, Holy Spirit, the voice our Father has given us, the voice that we cherish now, the voice that tells us of our own glory, that we are one with you and we are one with each other. We are ushering in this day the end of projection and the fullness of extension of the glory and love that we have been created in, that we recognize now, that we claim and accept and celebrate. Every hand we hold is the hand of Christ. It is our own hand and our own voice that we decide this day. It is our only identity. We share this love, this glory with the whole sonship this moment. We extend our love to all of creation as we were created to do. We fulfill our function this day. Our gaze is steady on the light that we are, and we recognize it in the light of our brother's eyes. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Jesus, for being our brother and teacher and showing us of our oneness. Thank you. We dedicate this day to you. It is our gift to you and our gift to the whole sonship. Thank you. Amen. Amen. Amen.